Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Show, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my 6 marriage steps is a path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in marriage counseling. The Dr. Wyatt Show is listener-supported, so to help keep it on the air so couples worldwide can receive hope for their marriage, please consider becoming a monthly supporter by going to patreon.com/Dr. Wyatt Show. To learn more about becoming a sponsor, there's 3 levels, and you get gifts depending on which level you sign up for. Be sure to click on the page notes of the episode today. Okay, today I'm going to talk about 4 ways to love your husband from the outside in. If you've been following the podcast, last week I talked about 4 ways to love a woman, to love your wife from the outside in. Today I'm going to talk about how to love a man from the outside in. The first thing to consider when loving your husband is appreciation. This is the one overlap. Usually men and women both really appreciate appreciation, and there's not enough appreciation. So think about all the things you can compliment your husband on. What are the character qualities that he has that you admire? What are the activities that he does that you appreciate? You need to let him know. A lot of men struggle wondering if they're enough. Are they masculine enough? Are they strong enough? Do they make enough money? Is their penis big enough? Men have all sorts of insecurities, so they need to hear from their wives regularly that you're enough. You have what it takes. You're a man. That kind of affirmation does wonders for most men. And so consider thinking about regularly, what can you compliment your husband on? What are all the things he does, all the things about him that you love? Show him that he is enough, because that will warm up his heart. Second is activity. Most guys like to be in motion. They like to hike, they like to bike, they like to fish, they like to play golf, you name it. Most guys like to be in motion, and I'm like this. I don't like to sit still. I like to be in motion. And if you're at my house watching me, I don't sit still very long. I even have a treadmill desk. So when I do have to sit still and do work, I can walk. And when I do have to sit still, I also have a bike desk, so I can be in motion. And I love sports. I love being outdoors. And one of my favorite things to do is doing something recreational with my wife. Most guys are like that. They like to be in motion. They like to be doing things. They like to keep busy. So another way to love your husband from the outside in is through activities. Now, in all ways, when it comes to loving our partner, you never want to love your partner in a way that makes you suffer, because it won't be sustainable. So consider, of all the recreational activities your husband loves, which ones do you also love? Which ones could you also do? Because that will provide you some opportunity to do those things together, and you can initiate those activities. Hey honey, how about tomorrow we pack up a picnic and go fishing? Hey honey, how about tomorrow we get some takeout and we go for a hike? Initiate activities together. That's another way to love your husband from the outside in. A third way to love your husband from the outside in is visual. Most men are very visual. And so anything you can do to take care of your appearance, your husband will appreciate you for it. So maybe that means the way you do your hair. Maybe it means painting your fingernails. Maybe it means working out more than you do. Maybe it means the way you dress. Perhaps you could dress a little different in a way that he would find appealing. So day to day, how do you take care of yourself? How do you look? What's your self-care like? What kind of PJs do you wear? Men, on average, are very visual. And so they want to look at you and think that you are beautiful and taking care of yourself. And so this whole area can be a little touchy when it comes to attraction in marriage. Some people are on one end of the continuum and they think, if you love me, it shouldn't matter how I look. That's too far, because while your husband can still love you no matter how you look, his in-love feelings with you is largely involuntary. And that's going to be largely influenced by how you look, how well you take care of yourself. His physical attraction towards you is involuntary. He may love you no matter what. That's unconditional. However, the degree of his attraction towards you is going to ebb and flow based on how well you're taking care of your body. So the one end of the continuum that I see some people land on is they'll say, no matter how I look, it shouldn't matter because you're committed to me. So how I look shouldn't matter. You should love me no matter what. So that's too far. On the other hand, it's also, I've seen people go too far the other way, and they'll say, I only love you if you look a certain way. I'm only committed to you if you stay attractive. I'm only in this if you stay looking the same way that you did when we were 21 and dating. That's too far the other way because all of us age. All of us are going to get older. And there needs to be some grace where you grow old together and you have some grace for your partner's changing body. It's inevitable. You have kids, your body changes. You get older, your body changes. So there also needs to be some grace. So when I'm talking about the visual, loving your husband visually, it means making the most of what you got. Remembering that your husband is very visual and he has to look at you every day. So the more you take care of yourself, the more he'll love you for it. And this goes into number 4. Number 4 is sexual. The fourth way to love your husband is sexually. Now, disclaimer, as you may know, 10 to 15%, give or take, of marriages, the woman has the higher libido. But on average, the man does because libido is tied to testosterone, and most men have higher levels of testosterone than women. Therefore, they desire sex much more often. They think about sex. They experience sex spontaneously. Their arousal is spontaneous, meaning they don't need anything to get them charged up. They can wake up and be aroused. They can see you changing your clothes and get aroused. They can see you stepping out of the shower and get aroused. It's spontaneous. It happens immediately for most men. Women, on average, their sexuality and arousal is more responsive. They don't have any arousal until after foreplay begins, on average. So men, it's spontaneous. Women, it's responsive. So one of the best ways to love a man, if you're married to someone with a higher libido, is sexually. Most men want to feel like you want them sexually. And you can do that in a multitude of ways. You can dress sexually when you go to bed at night with lingerie. You can tease your husband throughout the day by flashing some of your body when you're changing. You can send your husband suggestive texts or suggestive photos based on whatever you're comfortable with. You can rub some of your body against him as you're passing him in the hallway. Flirt with your husband sexually because that's the way your husband experiences love. On average, men experience love the most deeply through the sexual connection. So if you're flirting with him sexually, that's going to grab his heart like nothing else. And then the next step, obviously, is being sexual. How often do you initiate sexual activity with your husband? How much do you surprise him? You can do all sorts of things. And again, this area, like all of the others, you do it based on what also works for you. Because you never want to feel like you suffer by loving your partner in the way they want to feel loved. You have to find ways sexually that also works for you. So for example, do you prefer pleasuring your husband manually or orally? Do you prefer initiating sex in the mornings or the evenings? What kind of sexual positions do you prefer? You need to explore these areas of sexual contact, sexual flirting to find what works for you. Because it can't be all about serving him, because then you'll lose yourself. And then it turns into obligation sex. And that's going to lower your libido even further. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is loving your husband sexually in a way that also works for you. So whatever that looks like, but this upcoming week, think about how often could you surprise your husband sexually? Either through flirting with him sexually or a small sexual encounter or a more elaborate sexual encounter where there's candles and sensual massage and you give and receive and you really enjoy the whole enchilada. But think about how you can love your husband in this way because it's going to hit him deeper than any other area. So those are 4 ways to love a husband from the outside in. Number 1 is appreciation. Let him know he's enough. Number 2 is activity. Initiate some recreational activity, things that you also would enjoy. Number 3, visual. Take care of how you look. Make the most of what you got. He looks at you all day long. And number 4, sexual. So that can be sexual flirting and sexual activity. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Wyatt Show. If you enjoyed the episode, stop and leave a review and click the 5 stars. The more reviews I get, the higher I'll appear on search results so other couples can find the podcast. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, if this podcast has made a positive impact on your marriage, I would love to interview you on the show. So if that's you, please email me. It's info@drwyattfisher.com. And remember, your marriage is alive. So if you care for it, it will grow. But if you neglect it, it will wilt and die. The choice is up to you.